Chelsea might be getting back Romelu Lukaku and Tammy Abraham. Now, the fact that they're getting Tammy Abraham and Lukaku is good. They're investing on strikers. But the issue is, why then buy back the players that you originally sold to other clubs because they were not fulfilling what was needed for the club at that time? Now, we've seen this thing of buying back players that you initially sold in the first place does not always work out in the best interest of the club. So, for example, let's look at Paul Pogba when he came back to Manchester United. Of course, Paul Pogba was doing good in Juventus. Of course, Italy is a different league compared to English Premier League. When he came back to Manchester United, he was riddled with a lot of injuries. He was almost like a flop when he was playing for Manchester United versus when he was playing for Juventus. And when he initially went back to Juventus after Manchester United, the guy has been riddled with injuries. Now, of course, you might say, okay, I'm being too much. But Paul Pogba is not the only case. Look at Ronaldo. He came back to Manchester United. Now, we know when he left, he left on good terms initially when he was at Real Madrid. But when he came back, he had a lot of say for a guy. He really had a lot of say. And the thing is, it's not always bad that he said those things. What he said actually impacted on how things are being run right now in Manchester United. What he said actually impacted on the Glazers almost selling Manchester United. But the way he left also was just bad. There was bad terms, bad blood, things going on. So, in that sense, why buy back all the players that you had in your team but sold them initially? Now, let's look at Tammy Abraham for instance. We know he played for Swansea. He was on loan in Swansea, and he was on loan in Aston Villa until Lampard took him to Chelsea. Now, everything was going so well until Thomas Tuchel came. Obviously, Lampard got sacked because he was not winning. And Tuchel came and he decided there was no space for Tammy Abraham in his team. So he said, no, you can go to AS Roma. There is nothing for you here. There's no space for you. He's got so many players. And it's a good thing because Chelsea was a well-functioning, well-oiled machine at that time. And when he went to Roma, he did well for himself. He was scoring goals. And even right now under Mourinho, he's doing very good. And he's young, he's tall, so he can be a very good lengthy ball in front. And he can score. And he's very strong on the ball. So let's not forget those. Now, let's go look at Lukaku. So, Lukaku played for Chelsea. He was very good at Chelsea. No, he was not Chelsea first. He was Everton first. He was doing good at Everton. And then he went to Chelsea. He was also doing good, but then he also went to Italy to play. I'm not too sure if it was Inter Milan or if it was AC Milan, but he was doing very good. And then Manchester bought him. Now, we know when he came to Manchester, things didn't go as planned. Things did not go as planned. And Manchester said, no, we're done with this. This ain't working out. This relationship ain't working out. So they ship him back to Inter Milan. Now, I understand right now he is on loan to Inter Milan from Chelsea. And Inter Milan's chairman said, no, we actually don't want him for the full contract. We're actually going to ship him back after the season is finished. So we might only see Lukaku play maybe next season, but Inter Milan is not interested in signing him for a full-time deal for a long-term contract. So they said, you know what, you can take your player back. Now he's coming back to Chelsea. Now, look, I understand that Chelsea, they are in dire need of someone who can score in front. They made all these investments in the midfield and the defense, and they didn't make any investments in front. So you need for your team to be able to win cups, you need someone who can score. You can do all the defending, but if you're not scoring and winning games, then what are you doing? You're just wasting time then. So they made all these investments. They made good investments in the midsection. They made very good investments in the back. But none of those investments can bring anything to fruition if you cannot score goals. This now shows why they have not been winning. Because they went and bought the Modric. They went and bought the Koulibaly's at the back. They even went and bought, what's his name again? Sterling. Raheem Sterling. Look, I'm not saying Chelsea had a shortage of wingers. They have a lot of them. You have Ziyech sitting on playing, sometimes being benched, and you have Mudryk who's a left winger. So why then buy Sterling then? But all that aside, they didn't have a striker, so they didn't have anyone to finish any goals. So now they're getting Tammy Abraham back, and they're getting Romelu Lukaku back. We have to understand the English Premier League and the Italian League, which is Serie A, is two different leagues. And the way they play football in Italy and the way they play football in English Premier League is totally different. We've seen it. We've seen it with Pogba. We've seen it with Mario Balotelli. We've seen it with Lukaku. We've seen it with Tammy Abraham. We've seen it with Ronaldo himself. Not all players who play in Italy can also play in English Premier League. That's just a fact. And of course, yeah, you might say I'm saying a lot of nonsense just because I'm clamping down on Chelsea. And also, no, I'm not picking on Chelsea. But it's just a fact. It's never a good idea to rehire your former employees to come back and work for you. It will never end the good way.